So I got a quote here from the psychotic cat lady herself. She says, "The bill puts investors, our national security, and our entire financial system at risk, and it will turbocharge Donald Trump's crypto corruption. In just 1 year in office, the president and his family have raked in at least $1.4 billion in gains from crypto deals alone, and yet this bill stunningly includes zero provisions to prevent that." The ethics component of this bill might actually be the biggest sticking point once it gets to the Senate floor, from what I understand. But just a funny, sarcastic aside as a comment from Elizabeth Warren's take on the bill. We have a note here a quote here from Patrick Witt. Now, Patrick Witt, I believe, is the guy who's kind of taken over from David Sachs as the crypto czar. He's like, there's no crypto czar now, but he's the executive director of the President's Council of Advisors for Digital Assets. So I think, as I understand it, he's like the new top crypto advisor, I guess. Anyway, so he says sarcastically, "I'm so impressed that Elizabeth Warren stayed up all night to read the 300 plus pages of the Clarity Act and deliver an objective assessment of the bill's merits and not just some knee-jerk reaction. This is what true public service looks like." Now,
that's literally what she does. She's just like perpetually offended at literally everything. She reminds me of like some woman that lives in your apartment building who's just like leaving notes on your door, being mad at everything, like mad that the walls aren't painted, but then when you paint them, they're the wrong color, and just mad at everything.
Well, she's done well for herself. She's a good politician for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what they do, is they just get offended.
Yeah. Now, I think despite the Elizabeth Warren posturing, the real fight is not coming from her. I believe it's more the banks. So on May 9th, Sunday, the three largest U.S. banking trade groups, ABA, BPI, ICBA, those are the acronyms for them, they formally rejected the so-called Tillis-Alsobrooks stablecoin yield compromise that the industry had backed, Coinbase, Circle, and others had backed. The CEO of one of these trade groups sent an emergency letter to bank executives on Sunday night, urging them to call their senators. And they're panicking because 80% of their lending they fund 80% of their lending through customer deposits. So if stablecoins can pay activity-based rewards, then deposits will leak out of the regional banks, and this could be existential for the banks. So they're against the compromise. They'll be pushing for an amendment to be included here that removes that compromise, removes the loophole, the so-called loophole, to enable some form of rewards or yield on stablecoins. So I think as this thing goes through the markup, it'll be interesting to see how that amendment is voted on. I think that'll be a key thing to watch here.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of controversy, but I think it's generally being perceived as net positive and bullish. Even if it's not like 100% ideal clarity, it's still clarity, and it's going to remove a lot of barriers for institutions and other large entities to enter the space. I think there's also like a huge geopolitical advantage for the US to get ahead, just since the digital asset ecosystem is priced in dollars and the growth trajectory is quite favorable. For example, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, he said, "The bill is strong. It'll benefit the American people by making the U.S. financial system faster, cheaper, more accessible. It's also going to ensure that the U.S. leads in the global race to build the next generation of our financial system." Kind of PR-y, but it's true. I think Michael Saylor said last night's Clarity markup would unlock the next wave of digital capital, digital credit, digital equity in the U.S. David Sachs is optimistic about it. There is like some dissent. So Aaron Day, friend of the pod, he said that the Clarity Act is actually the biggest surveillance bill in U.S. history, and people are getting rugged on the wording that on the surface appears to protect devs. It doesn't. Free the prisoners and fire Lutnick, kill Clarity. Make of that what you will. I don't really know what he's backing that on. I'm not saying it's not true. I think digital assets are already kind of a surveillance system, but
I mean, for what it's worth, the DeFi Education Fund, which is a major sort of advocacy group, I guess, they say the current text does have the protections developers need.
The safest and easiest to use Bitcoin wallet. Send and receive Bitcoin and crypto to anyone, anywhere in the world without permission. Now, the best Bitcoin wallet for all your favorite assets. Buy as little as $50 of Bitcoin or anything else. Earn Bitcoin by staking. Access Web3 and DeFi. And now introducing in-app rewards, letting you earn free crypto just for using the app. Join the millions who are already in. Install now for free